Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about a 1962 Italian movie called Il Sorpasso. And this is a Criterion release from, I think, the year 2014. So it's about a 7-year-old 2K restoration. To my eyes, it looked absolutely fantastic in widescreen, black and white. And I think it's one of the great road movies of all time. I hadn't seen it in many, many years, but boy, it was just a terrific entertainment. You didn't know where it was going to go, and the as a good road movie does, you have a lot of terrific episodes along the way. Well, El Sorpasso is translated roughly as passing. So we have 1962, the automobile was coming into great popularity. The Italian economic miracle was in full swing. They were building highways everywhere. And so this particular film is about a trip from Rome to the seaside resort areas of Italy on a day in August when Rome empties out of its population. They're either going to the beach, the countryside. It's a two-character type play movie with Vittorio Gassman playing a character called Bruno, and Jean-Louis Trintignant playing a character called Roberto, and they are exact opposites. Bruno is gregarious, he's fun-loving, he disregards all the rules of the road, the rules of proper behavior, but he's so enthusiastic, he's infectious. It's a chance meeting between Bruno and Roberto. He's studying, he's spending his holiday in his apartment by himself studying for exams. He is a law student. And he doesn't really want to go on this adventure with Bruno, but Bruno is overpowering. He cajoles, he bullies, and as the trip goes along, Roberto starts to feel he's a shy person, shy with women. He's kind of impassive, and that he sort of gets into the spirit of adventure as this road trip moves along. And again, this is the economic miracle. I did my last published video was on La Strada, which also a road movie, but 1954, 8 years beforehand, and that was about the impoverishment of Italy, the downtrodden. It had a very portentous tone to it, whereas this has an extravagant love of life tone to it, El Sorpasso. And Bruno's he also criticizes stuff. He's cynical. He has a very cynical, sometimes very funny sense of humor, especially when he disses Michelangelo Antonioni's a lot of clips where he says he fell asleep during while watching it, but also poverty, the old Italy. But one begins to suspect maybe Bruno might be a little bit lonely. Bruno says, you need to come along and have some fun, but I think Bruno wants to have a companion as well. That perhaps his overbearing ways precludes him from having any real friendship with other people. So there's many vivid characterizations in these different episodes that go along the way where we meet the family of each one. The aunt and uncle where Roberto spent his childhood summers. We meet them. We meet Bruno's wife. Surprisingly enough, we find he has a wife. But he's estranged from her. She sees right through him, and she takes pity on Roberto and tells him, "What you first notice about Bruno, that's all there is." And then we have Catherine Spock, who really lights up the screen in this film. She is just, I think she's 17 or 18. Absolutely adorable. She plays Bruno's daughter. Now, she also sees right through her father, but unlike her mother, she actually has affection for her father. And she kind of like understands him, and he's sort of taken back by the wisdom of this teenage daughter of his. So we wondered, like, where is it going? Where is this movie going? And it goes to some very very unexpected places. This is a really good presentation. As I said, the picture quality is great. This is actually a digibook, I think it's called. And this was the days of DVD, Blu-ray combos, so there's 2 DVDs, one with the movie, one with all the extras, but the Blu-ray over here, that has all the extras on that as well. So then in the supplements, we have introduction by Alexander Payne, American film director, and he cites El Sorpasso as one of the main inspirations for his own movie Sideways, where he had 2 opposites traveling through California wine country. We have interview with Vittorio, who wrote the screenplay and later made some tremendously good movies in the late 60s, 70s. And then we have an interview with Risi, the film director, Dino Risi, with his, I believe it's his son, and they talk about a lot of the adventures that he had, especially with Vittorio Gassman. Then we have a really good supplement. I think it's called A Beautiful Vacation from 2006. And this was celebrating Dino Risi, director of this film, celebrating his 90th birthday. Risi was part of, and he's in absolutely fantastic shape. His memory, his storytelling ability. It's a long documentary. It's at least an hour, probably over an hour. And Risi was part of the Commedia Italiano, I think it's called, where the directors that were below the international acclaim for Visconti, Antonioni, Federico Fellini, there was a whole bunch of directors that were considered below them in Italian cinema, but they all pretty much started out together in the late 40s, early 50s in the neo-realist tradition. And then they all went sort of a different way, and Risi and Mario Monticelli and Pietrangeli and Elio Petri, they all sort of went more or less towards comedy. And of course, comedy is never as well liked in its time. The critical acclaim is always going to go to Fellini, Antonioni, Visconti, who have grand ambitions. But Risi and he made a ton of films. I think he said he made 50 films. And El Sorpasso is really considered, I guess, by the critics who know his entire outlay. I've only watched this one and maybe one other of his films. This is considered his best film. And but he understood people. There's nothing extraneous to his style. He's really upfront with you. You see it. There's no I'm a genius filmmaker to Risi, and there's something that is definitely the talent that Risi has is definitely there. And also in this interview with Risi, we get some clips of him reminiscing with Vittorio Gassman, and they made 16 movies together, and were very good friends as well. And Gassman, in these clips, is near the end of his life, and he's declining fairly rapidly, and very poignant to these scenes. And Gassman was I've seen Gassman in other films, but I never realized he was considered the great Italian actor for the theater. He taught acting. He had his own acting group. He was considered a great Shakespearean actor. He toured worldwide with his acting troupe. And of course, he also appeared in American films in the 1950s, a couple film noirs. I didn't write the names of them down. I don't think I've ever seen him. And he was married to Shelley Winters for a couple years in the 1950s. Then we get a segment where we see some of the locations today, or I guess 2014, because they used there's a very famous restaurant they use it's still in existence, and the beach that they filmed some of the final scenes at. And then Trintignant also, there's a segment with him where he is introducing the film for French television. Very very humorous guy. He was asked, how did you get cast for Il Sorpasso? And he said, well, there was a different actor who had been cast, but he wasn't available right away, and they had to film the streets of Rome, empty of cars and people because of this national holiday. Rome empties out, so they had to use stand-ins, stand-in for Gassman, a stand-in for this other actor. But then that actor had to drop out of the film, so they had to find another actor. And Trintignant says, well, they only cast me because I physically matched the stand-in in these opening sequences. So then we also get a really nice booklet, and there they are in there. That's a Lancia Aurelia, I think is what it's called. A very popular two-seater sports car that they beep their horn. Bruno beeps his horn, and it's like a musical horn, and it got on my nerves, I got to admit, but it became very popular, and it was made specifically for this movie. And then the company all of a sudden there was this great demand because this was a sensational success. I think it was the top-grossing film in Italy in 1962, and so all of a sudden this particular horn, the man who designed it was selling them by the thousands. And musical horns in general became the rage for a while in Europe. We get two essays in this booklet, and one of them is by Philip Lopate, and he writes some of the greatest essays you're ever going to read on all different kind of subjects. Believe he taught nonfiction writing for most of his life, and he edited collections of essays, and he wrote essays himself. And there's a whole book that I'm going to have to get of his collected essays on different films. And this is just it's a work of the essay is a work of art in itself. We also get another essay, which is good, and then we also get excerpts from Dino Risi's autobiography. And Risi had a very caustic wit. He would sometimes be kind of offensive. People didn't understand him, but you get a really great sense from these supplements in this film who Dino Risi was. And again, I'm trying to get through all the Criterions that I bought in recent sales that have been on my to-be watch list pile over there, and to try to see them before, because now I'm buying more Criterions, and I like to watch what I bought before I buy more. And plus it's the sale, so if anybody wonders what this film is like, I'm trying to get some videos on these Criterion, especially these older ones that are kind of falling through the cracks. And Il Sorpasso is a really good film. Okay, thanks as always for everybody who managed to listen to me this far. I really do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.